So I just want to recap on what I was talking about earlier. Sky that looks like heaven. I was meaning that when the cloud has this light above it, and this is not the best one. Like I've seen it where the clouds are here, and then there's light here, and then it's like you expect the hand of God to be coming out at you. Anyway, and here's another one. This one isn't as good, but with white cloud. Anyway. If you can see that. We're going to be talking about Wrinkles the Clown, Doctor Who, the whatever terror, what is it called? Macra terror. I watched it 3 times last night. You'd think I'd remember the title. But I fell asleep the first time through, so whatever. And,
oh yeah, the Doctor Who.
James is drinking cilantro, ginger, and lemon.
Ooh, okay.
So that's going to be a tough one for James because he doesn't like any of those things.
Nope. Well, cilantro, I don't mind. It's just the stringiness. There won't be stringiness in the juice, but it's not a great taste.
So, anyway, last time we were talking about Jeff Koons. So the recap about the clouds that look like heaven. That's what I was talking about. And if you look back a few.
Hi.
And anyway, I was also going to try to remember something that I was saying. I was talking about how my friend I ended up, the camera was cut off the last time when we were talking yesterday. And I had been talking about how a friend of mine, a great artist, who he really does amazing paintings of women's figures, and I always think it's funny when you are around people with fine arts background, and rather than my ex used to do this and I loved it, and so I kind of have copied him in doing that too. But anyway, because he didn't think much of the fine arts crowd, which understandably, that was,
he was almost born to
he was born into it, right? And it would have been very easy for him to make a lot of money in that field.
I think
he
so.
could have just went right into it, but he couldn't stand it, and for a lot of reasons, and I'll get into them eventually. But so whenever I'm around fine arts people, if I feel gutsy enough or whatever, if I feel inclined to do so, rather than calling them nude paintings, it's always amusing to call them pictures of naked women, because that is, you will get corrected, and it's amusing. So what was I talking about? My friend who did figure paintings, and he was teaching me that you never have a model looking at the viewer on the canvas, because that makes the viewer uncomfortable. And James was saying, well, you could have somebody looking for effect, right? And Jeff Koons in Made in Heaven, 1989, page 119 of this red book here, he is looking right at the viewer while he is nude, but I mean he's hiding behind his cicciolina quite effectively, but I mean he is nude and he's looking right at the viewer. And what my friend hadn't said, and I don't think this is how it is taught, but Jeff Koons he went through the post-secondary fine arts training too, so he would know this, that you're not supposed to have the model, which in this case was himself, looking at the viewer, because it makes the viewer uncomfortable. Why it does so is because the model is not supposed to be dominant. The model's supposed to be submissive. The whole arts community of, like, the the whole idea of having an artist paint a nude model is a dominance and submission thing. The artist is the dominant. The subject matter is the submissive. They're not even really people. They're subject. So anyway, it's really disgusting. And when the viewer looks at the model on the canvas, the viewer is then, art is in the eye of the beholder, right? The viewer is dominant to the subject, the painting itself, right? So the model is absolutely submissive all the time, and that's why the model is not supposed to look at the viewer, because if the model is looking at the viewer, the model is then dominant. They are expressing that they're challenging the viewer. And that's why you don't do that. And that's why Jeff Koons did. So, now that I've recapped, I'm going to talk about the videos first, because I'll get them out of the way. So, Wrinkles the Clown, we've looked at Jeff Koons' balloon dog, which is awesome, and really one should know where that's coming from. I mean, who makes balloon animals, right? Clowns? And so what he's saying is he is putting it right out there that the people who are members of the art community, and I use that term loosely in this case, I use it because that's what they like to refer to themselves as, art community. They are not a community. They are all individuals looking out for themselves, and they're yellows, and the energy is directed towards them. They pull energy to them. They're very selfish, and it's in their nature. It's not their fault. Some have been born into it naturally, but a lot of people have been raised to be yellow. We've looked at Jeff Koons' art forum with the children, and he's saying something there. He's the teacher in that case, and he has noticed that the teachers are yellows, and that's what I have noticed.
They tend to be.
They tend to be yellows.
But,
and the principals, the gym teachers, are reds. We don't like them. And they're aggressive personality types. And so he is pointing that out in art forum. They're yellows. And with the balloon animal, he's pointing out clowns are yellows. He's pointing out artists are clowns, essentially. And
so when you say art community, it should be pointed out it's not just visual arts, but I think this was you meant, like performing arts.
Sure, definitely.
New media, literary arts, and stuff like that. So it's particularly bad when you're trying to put on what should be a team effort. So this is why in performing arts you got people upstaging other people. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a big problem. So some people
it's a problem in like professional sports too. Team
it's awful.
Sports. They should be acting as a team.
Yeah.
And they're not. They're not promoted as a team really anymore. They're individual players are promoted in team sports. What's that about?
LeBron James, he's the leader. He's carrying the team on his shoulders.
We've seen Jeff Koons is showing that too. He's showing, there's a picture of Moses with he's holding a staff, and honestly it looks like a sickle. But and there's a bunch of basketballs around. Yeah. And I said to James, the basketballs, I look at them and I wonder, are they supposed to be people, airheads that are his following, right?
So I think it was Moses Malone who was portrayed there, right?
Okay.
So it's entitled Moses, but it was like Moses leading the children of Israel out of the
I should have pointed that out, that not actual like Moses from the Bible. It was just, okay, well anyway, sorry. And
but he was dressed like Moses, and he had the staff.
He had the staff, and it was supposed to, so anyway.
It was pretty good. So.
It was pretty good.
They used to call Moses Malone the mailman, so I guess he was delivering the people out of the, not the mail, but the people out of Israel, bondage.
So this Wrinkles the Clown, I hadn't heard of Wrinkles the Clown. I don't know if you had. This is a documentary that we watched yesterday.
I'd never heard of Wrinkles the Clown.
No, but they were saying that this is how this whole scary clown thing in the United States with people worried that clowns are going to kill people, or I don't know, started.
I don't think that's how it started. Clowns are scary.
They're scary. And
I used to love
they're
clowns.
yellows, they're aggressive personality types, and they're wearing a mask to boot. So yeah, they're scary, or face paint to make themselves so you don't know really who they are, right? It's scary.
Yeah.
And when I was a little kid, I was scared of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's
Even before
natural
you
to
saw
be.
one.
Even before I saw one,
Oh.
when I just saw one in a coloring book, I thought it was scary. And I had a nightmare about a clown in our chicken coop, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway.
I wish that guy would.
Oh, and for recap also for Jeff Koons, I was going to talk about color. I'd mentioned color and how it's very important. And color is used by artists, and different cultures see different colors, or different colors represent different things or different feelings or whatever to different people, depending on what culture they were raised in and whatever. And I mean, it's individual anyway, right? And so it's like from the culture of one's family and then greater culture and whatever, right? So we were talking about that, and last night I had a dream. And James analyzed it. He's very good at doing that. He always tells me what my stuff means or whatever when I'm doing things. And so color is a very big part of my life.
Only when you ask me what it means, right?
I remember once somebody told me that people dream in black and white, and I'm like, huh? Not me. It's full on color. And my whole life, color is very important to me. And James picks up on it right away. He knows. So anyway, I had a dream last night that I was swallowing a yellow and black frog whole, and at the time I thought it looks poisonous, and this is something I would never do. One, like, I care about animals of all species, really, and like, to me that would be like eating a person or something. That's something I would not do, right? And so this is totally shocking for me in my dream that I'm doing this in the first place, and I could feel it was in my throat and wanting to crawl out or something, but it didn't come out. I swallowed it, and I thought yellow and black, it looks poisonous and stuff, and like all of these things, I was worried about this in my dream, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And I wake up and James tells me.
Well, I never analyze the dream unless you ask me to.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not going to go, hey, like I know you, or better than you do.
No.
But so according to the only color psychology thing that I swear by and not add. No, I wouldn't say that, but it looks as though it's based on statistical studies and stuff like that. Excuse me. It's done by a guy called Max Lucia. I think it was from Germany or Austria, Switzerland. German name. So it's been translated in English. It's called The Color Test, the paperback version of it. And basically that color combination, yellow and black, according to him, means headstrong action, self-destructive behavior.
And so I'm like, well, what am I doing that's self-destructive? Because I'm not that kind of person, right?
No.
And so he's going through it, and he's thinking about.
Well, the previous night you'd been saying that you'd had something like a sore throat, but it's more like, now this is the third time he's come through.
It's weird, eh? I don't know what it's about.
Anyway. I'm just going to check and see.
I don't usually snoop. But anyway, what James said is that I have been eating chocolate lately. Like this lovely little chocolate bar that I've been saving, because I'll do things like that. I stash chocolate around, or other treats that I think are yummy. When they're given to me, I didn't buy it. But when I get down, when I get stressed out, whatever, I go on a total binge. And I've been binging for a long time now. And I have been eating my garlic lately in the night and stuff like that. But I've been doing all sorts of things that I shouldn't be doing with my diet. And the chocolate, that's the big one. I've been binging on that. So that's, James thinks that's what my dream meant. And when he said it, I'm like, yeah, I know. He was totally right. So, I'm talking about Wrinkles. It's a documentary about this clown that I didn't know anything about, and they did such a great job. While we were watching the previews, they were previews for other things that were great that we'd seen, like, what was that thing called? Tickle? I think it was called Tickle. Anyway, and so here I'm looking at the previews, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be great. And it was. Totally worth watching. Definitely borrow that from your local public library. And for the first 90% of the film, you're thinking something totally different. And at the end, they switch it up. Wow, brilliant. And it's done very, very well. I don't want to give much away, honestly. Just watch it. So, or you could look up Wrinkles the Clown on the internet, and you'll find all sorts of things, apparently. So, because this is huge. I didn't know about it, but huge. So, but then I don't listen to the news or whatever very much. I get it from James, and I guess this wasn't a topic he was particularly interested in. So, slap on a mask, and I'm giving you a quote from the movie. Slap on a mask, and you have this empowerment to make people react to you. And that's a powerful thing. That's what terrorism is. So who said this? Was a clown. A professional clown said this. It was amazing. It looks like there's going to be some noise here, so I'm going to turn off the camera for a minute. So, but definitely watch Wrinkles. And I'll talk about the Doctor Who in a bit when it quiets down.